Got ourselves team 2 together with a Boo. Wait, that is what the gnome lean animation looks like? It looks so good. I didn't realize they just completely like lean back all the way with like their hands behind their back. It's like an anime style lean, if you know what I mean. Right? That's crazy looking. I like that. And he looks so comfy in his sweater and everything. He got sweatpants and all that. He's just chilling, just vibing. It's not really winter, but it's getting there. Little by little, leap out by Boo. It's actually just going to go for the stun and just reset while the rift is up. While the rift is active, he's going to be extra careful. He doesn't want to eat any more DPs to build that rift to feed the void beast inside. Herzblad, being a caster, being a priest mostly, doesn't have a lot of mobility to work with. Fear onto Boo, does have a Zerker Rage to break out of it. Is going to be yet another Shadow Crash. Boo trying to see if he can pin him down. It is going to be a Greek Spear. Does get interrupted on Shadow, unfortunately. Does him some PI and everything available. Void Sword to follow. Is going to be able to get another Rift. Disperse right after Boo with a bit of a spell Reflect. I don't know if Herzblad is going to go for a full Reflect. Trying to see if he can leave that Rift, but it's closing in. I think he's just flying in. It is crazy. On name on list, there's Ava. Okay, I'll need to see like what are some of the more stereotypical names, because I never really thought of like what would be the most stereotypically UK name before in the past. I need to take a look at more lists. See see what varieties they are. Charles, would Charles be it? Elizabeth, would that be it? Because I'm thinking like King Charles or Queen Elizabeth, right? I imagine that'll probably be it. Maybe Fear onto Boo does not have a way to break out of the fear. Zerk is not available just for a second. Herzblad just feeding the void. Silence of Boo will not let him. I guess he can't really go for Fear or Rallying Cry whenever he's silenced. So there's only a few abilities that are locked out technically because they're literally vocal. He literally needs to shout in order to get him going. Herzblad, I think, got to switch up with Chicago there for a heal, but Boo still continues to ramp up the burst fade for a second. I don't know if Herzblad can do anything with the Reflect. It was just lights. Man went in full wombo combo, big damage taken him out. Hold on, I want to see the rest of this team, dude. Look at this. DMC is here as well. Flex Bites here. We got Red MVP. I hate how the blade goes through your chest like that. I hate that. But the rest of them just hanging out, just leaning. I like that. I like that lean. Do we have a lean over here maybe? No, Chrono Magic just chilling. We're also just chilling. Badia just chilling. And Boo just still trying to keep himself alive. I think he's just trying to go for a bit of that second wind to catch up as much healing as possible. Chicago needs to find a way to get himself that angle versus Boo if at all possible. Does get a couple of hits. Wall is available. Disarm right after. Does have a stun totem unless you move it last second. It looks like you try to move the totems at the moment. Spear does not connect. I don't know what's going on with these spears, man. I don't think I've ever seen that spear ever land. Like, unless the enemy is locked down in the stun and you throw a spear right next to him, I don't think I've ever seen somebody get pinned by a spear. Maybe in Midnight, because it will have like a grippy component to grip people around it, and then we'll like group him back in and keep him chained for at least one little tug. And Chicago actually take a lot of damage, dude. Boo is doing a ton. If he can stay on top of Chicago without Chicago having too many offensive cooldowns, he wins on the sustain game, and that Blazer just absolutely massacres the Shaman. But Flex Bite's going to be up next. For Boo, all he can do is just go for whirlwinds back to back, maybe pick up eyes. And that's exactly what he's going to do. Almost saw Flex. Does go for the trinket here immediately. Leap it away as the bleeds are rocking him down. Got himself a frenzied regen. Getting rooted out. There's going to be a stun. Breaks out of it. Quick fear. He does go for enraged regen. This is going to give an opportunity to catch up maybe a little bit of healing. Just trying to see if he can waddle out. Maybe for a charge. If he can get himself a lot of damage on the flex, maybe he lives. He needs more bloodthirst. Needs a big kill immediately. But those bites back to back. Let's see, bites does take him out. With Badia going to be up next is on a Holy Death Knight. Try to get on top of Flex, but it's going to be Incarn Prowl to get himself a complete reset. I want to say someone rip, but I won't. Yeah. You know what? I think it's a good move, Wop. I think it's a good move. Honestly. Can't win them all. But yeah. Dude, the amount of sustain damage you do, by the way, as long as the other person doesn't have like burst, you just out-sustain the other class. I don't think it matters at all, does it? You can just out-sustain them the entire time. It's crazy. Badia trying to... You know what? In Midnight, I think if you're going to get a cheat death mechanic, I think this is going to be huge. Because it'll give you like, what, 8 seconds of immunity where you can just potentially score a kill. pop all your cooldowns, then lock him down the spear. That'll be huge. Bind, you're taking bites after bites, but they actually have a lot of pressure with that army of undead, with all those pets that it looks like. They had, what's it called? The white man finish it off at the end. Body left with not a lot of health, unfortunately. So DMC just uses a couple of hammers and down he goes. With we're going to be up next, it is going to be only, oh, not only rogues, but definitely got all the rogues left on either team. If I thought I would have ran Feral over. Yeah, imagine. I think that's going to be wild. It's crazy that they're giving that Odin's like cheat death mechanic from Legion to Fury Warriors as just like a... Is that your secret weapon? Is that what you said you was going to be your secret weapon? Quick sap into a broom? It does land a sap on DMCS, who does not want to leave that wall. The rogue is right on top of him. Lands a quick sap. Runs out for a moment. It's going to be really, really short. Catches Wersat with a consecration and a slow blind to fall. Searing glare. I think it might be just a vanish out of the rogue. Or just walks out of there with a double grapple. DMCS did go for a bop, so potentially for Whir, you could put enough pressure to get a bubble out of the guy. Try to see if you go for a sap, but it doesn't connect. The Wake of Ashes does get him out with a stun while he's just on a broom. Watching this paladin melt his health bar. Cloak and Shadows try to build up for a bit of damage. Got a couple of pistols, but he's not really committing a lot of damage. He is going to go for a complete reset behind the pillar. DMCS is going to have to stay a lot more aggressive versus this rogue if he wants to win this duel, I think. I think maybe eventually he does win, but the rogue with how many resets he's got, I mean, eventually just going to be trouble for the Paladino. Also has a broom, huge opener for Whir, just runs out of there, pistols firing from a distance, unless he goes in for a grapple hook around the corner. I don't know if he'll need to. Whir does end up picking up Lucky Coin proc, by the way, so it's going to give him 7% more agility. That is a lot of damage he could do. Saps, and just the witch is out. He saps and the witch is out. It is hilarious. What is that? This is the funniest thing ever. Just saps and just brooms away. Did DMCS pick up the other set of eyes? I believe he did. He does get some cleaves onto Whir. We just got to broom out of there. The fact that they didn't put you in combat is kind of wild, honestly. Not gonna lie. That is a huge opener by the rogue. Try to see if he can get himself a huge setup here with a stone onto Whir. For DMCS, this is an opportunity to finally get some pressure onto the rogue. Does not get a Dawnlet on. Oh, yes, he does. Yes, he does. Whir could potentially just cloak and stay in if he wanted to. This could be his opportunity just to get a bubble out of the Paladin. You have second vanish. He just tried to see if he can catch himself a quick reset without having to burn a vanish. Just brooms it up. Cheap shot. Do you just go in? Do you just stay in? Cloak of Shadows. I think that's where you just commit, right? Bubble out for the Paladin. Does go for the bubble. That's going to be killing spree. Unfortunately, you have to vanish him. Pally does not get himself too much recovery. Somehow dotted Chronomagi. And it's going to be a Dawnlet onto Whir, unfortunately. He does have another reset in case he needs to. Dawnlet did not last long at all. Does go for a broom way too early. Into a stun. Does end up sliding around a little trinket for trinket. This is going to be another vanish. Does go for a heal. I think trying to see if he can bait the rogue out in the open, but no lay on hands, no bubble, no bop. First aid for Whir as we hit on that 10 minutes mark with 56% dampening. DMCS hanging out by the eye. Is there another set of eyes available? No. That's the only set of eyes. So if he sees Whir move, I think that's where he maybe just grabs it. Outlaw rogues don't have it easy against paladins. I will say this. So for Whir having to go for as long as his duel has, I think he's actually having to play it correctly against the Paladino. You're just gonna hang away from a wall though. I think at this point Pally is just like, you know what, I have a stun, I have Wake of Ashes, the rogue won't have a trinket, I don't think. For Whir, he's just going in for a bit of that hit and run, getting out of this quickly as he can. For DMCS, he's just having to go for the, he's just having to avoid that range as best as he can. That's about all he can do right now, unfortunately. DMCS, grapple hook around the corner. He's at place where you don't have any walls at all. Ambushes off the bat. Does he have a setup? Stun to follow. Does pre-evasion it, so it's going to be some damage reduction. DMCS, do you have a Wake of Ashes? He doesn't have a Wake of Ashes actually, but does have one more Dawnlight onto the rogue. Blind as he goes in for a grapple hook. Is this maybe where potentially get something going? Maybe, possibly. Does have a Wake of Ashes. Get this shot. Do you have anything available whatsoever? Bob coming up, but in only a few seconds away. Corrode, but Demoniac, we're trying to see if he can survive. Is going to go for a Blade Flurry. And Demoniac hit with a blind. For we're just backing up out of there. Gotta find a Paladin like a glass is ratty. Yo, I mean, sometimes you do, yeah? Pallies are rough for some classes. I will agree. And out the rogues, I feel like Assassin Subtlety have been able to fight Pallies 1-on-1 before. It's a lot of resets, but like you can vanish the bubble, you can vanish the bop, so you like trade it. But for Outlaw Rogues, I felt like because you don't have that crazy burst, like the other two specs, it was really difficult to force cooldowns on a Paladins or make him panic. But now that we got like a huge coin flip to reset, yeah, that just does a lot of damage. It's just crazy amount. Word does get himself some CP cups. Demoniac picking up the eye. We are at 12-minute mark for the duel. And for the rogue, one of the rogues, either it's going to be Demoniac potentially taking down Word, maybe going after Ret, maybe going after Chrono and bringing it back for the team, or it's just going to be Word, finish it off. Got himself a bit of the first aid. Are the eyes still available? They are not. Otherwise, he'd been able to throw a knife at the guy. Another set of eyes. It is available, so it could be Word or Demoniac picking that up. Actually, and Demoniac is right in the center. Is right in the middle. They're both aware of the eyes that is available. They're standing next to each other. Sap by Demoniac, though. It does get a garrote. Cheap shot trinket immediately for Word, though. I don't think he was actually stunned. Does get a cheap shot versus the Demoniac on evasion. He's going to be Cloak of Shadows. Cannot remove that disarm. Unfortunately, he's going to get a disarm onto Word. We're trying to see if he can back up out of the kidney shot. Finally connects. This skill for Kingsbane. I think he has to. Vanish cheap shot just to get a death mark and a Kingsbane. That's a Cloak of Shadows to remove some of it. Although the bleeds are still going to rot you down. Demoniac trying to see if he can back up out of there. He's going to try to go for Envenom, but it doesn't connect. That is an evasion. Get a shot on Demoniac. Does it go down? Does Word have enough damage here? He just needs a little bit more damage, a little bit more common points. Vanish to give himself a little bit more healing. Cheap shot last second is going to be a step in Venom. And Demoniac backs up out of there. Just bails. That is super high in DL or dampening. Pretty good. Pretty good run, boys. What about a ban Rogue out the 4-1-1? Like, you guys complain about Red and Mages, but do so as aids. Watch you play against. Do we ban out the Rogues? Should we? Are the Rogues that scary? I feel like everybody clowns on Outlaw Rogues because they're super easy to duel up against. You know what I mean? We could, yeah, if you want.